my turn.
Go.
It is my turn to do Rule Zero. Finally, 6 weeks later. I apologize. I'm Ryan Stone. I got Carl from Black Label Logic. But first, time for something entirely different. I'm going to pull a John on you guys. Hang on 1 second here.
The first time I heard the term save a hoe, I did not picture a beta male saving a woman from a promiscuous lifestyle and trying to turn her into wife material. I literally pictured a simp action hero actually saving hoes from danger.
What is it with you and these hoes? This is my life we're talking about. I mean, this is what I do.
Ours was just good. Like, it was just, I mean, we messed well.
No action, ready to go, and everybody's in mode. I can't even deny it.
We do move fast, we move quick, but all the talent we have makes it a lot easier.
Good satire to me is starting with a ridiculous fantasy concept, but playing it in a dramatic context at times. If Save a Ho was a real person, he'd be a guy who seriously believes in prioritizing the safety of hoes, and only hoes. Nobody else gets saved.
A lot of these hoes, they don't want to be saved.
There's always a chance.
There's a lot of guys that obviously have a real life save a hoe complex because they don't understand women. A villain in a lot of ways is usually the voice of reason. So the villains in this scenario would have to be Red Pill. That's where we bring in rollotomassi.
What if the roles were reversed? Do you think anyone would come save you?
We could do something with this. It's funny. It resonates with what's going on right now. And if you're Red Pill aware, it's even better because you understand the language and you understand the message that's already being presented in it.
In a lot of ways, I think comedy allows you to be honest. I don't think we'd have stand-up comedy without certain Red Pill truths. And I don't think some of our favorite comedians would hit as hard without a little red pill material beneath the surface. But when it's done in comedy, men and women can laugh at it together. We could sort of like laugh at the differences in our nature and like the ridiculousness and all of that.
The mayor's daughter's been kidnapped.
Oh, shit. I understand. And she's a hoe?
It's a comedy. And it's a comedy that takes itself seriously. And I think that that's the best part of this whole thing.
He made sure he called me for the Chocolate Daddy shit. And I'm like, yo, listen, I didn't know how to take it at first. I'm like, fuck it. And I went in there, I did my thing.
OC, he gets into his character a lot. Yeah, Chocolate Daddy's a good villain. I like that.
A lot of people don't even realize 80% of the cast, they are rappers.
The cool thing about a small budget production is it forces you to be authentic. The guns are real, the punches are real.
Closer to my mouth, not my lips, but not the fucking knockout spot.
Yeah. Woo, you really hit him. I felt it. I heard that shit.
In the midst of it, we're trying to tell him not to jump arm first into the table. OC was in there trying to help him up. He's shaking on the ground. He's like, oh. Did we get the scene? Everybody like, did we get the scene? Like, yo, my God, look at your arm. What are you talking about?
I had a feeling something bad was gonna happen that night.
I watched the first episode and I thought, hey, this is some great stuff.
We literally watched the show. That's what you call the show. Dude come up to me like, yo, my name's Saviour, you know what I'm saying? I do music. He's like, yo, I'm about to go on. So we watched his set and the motherfuckers killed them. And I'm like, yo, who the fuck are them white boys? they not like original white boys. They the blackest white boys I ever fucking seen.
I wanted to do something that could be sort of imperfect, but still play well and still flow nicely.
He says, hey, we need you to be a gangster. We need you to be a bad guy. I said, I can do that.
Man, you got rollotomassi get involved? Shit, man. We about to go up.
I'm glad there's some vote of confidence in that. Oh, there you are, Carl. My bad. How's it going, guys? How's it going? Yes. People kept asking me, like, what the hell is all this stuff? I've been dropping all these teaser videos, like, throughout the week. Now that's the part. That's the what we're calling the sizzle reel right now. So
I'm just thinking of that Run DMC and Aerosmith Walk This Way video, and that's like the The B movie version of that.
Kevin, so I'm gonna have him on. I'm gonna have him on soon. I probably not tomorrow because I know he's shooting. He's actually doing work tomorrow, but I will probably have him on sometime in the week, and I'll do a full on interview. So and then on to my show tomorrow on this channel tomorrow. I'll probably talk about it a little bit. But I wanted to throw that out there because we just got the sizzle reel done last night, so I figured I'd put it up.
Looked like fun though. Sounds like you had a blast. You can't get that grin off your face either.
Yeah, it was a hell of a lot of fun. And I'll tell you the thing that was funny is like I went out there and I didn't have too much expectations. I'm just, Kevin hits me up. He says, "Hey, why don't you come out and be in the, we could use you in a cameo." And I'm like, all right, so why not? I'll just go out there. I went out to Connecticut. I'd never been to Connecticut before. And we were at this place called the what was it, 585 Main, I think that's what it was called, and that's where a lot of the stuff gets shot. So I fly out there. I'm jet lagged. I'm going on probably about like 3 hours sleep as it is, and then I get in. I sleep for probably another 4 hours. I got to be up by 5. Then we're on at the bar at about 6:30, and we're on the way out there. And Kevin goes. He goes, are you tired? Do you feel like hell? I go, yeah. He goes, good. That's what I want. Like, perfect. I'm the great I'm in character for you.
Better be as good as Space Cop. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Space Cop. Well, and it's a comedy too, and I think that's the most enjoyable part about it as well. And then the other part is that it is, I think it's doing something. I'm finally putting my money where my mouth is, right? People keep saying, I've said this a million times that we need to have more red pill content. I think I mentioned this a few times on this show, as a matter of fact, is that I think guys need to produce red pill content in the terms of like fiction or writing or music, or, I mean, if you want to change things, and start doing it, man. Like, so I am,
doing it.
Sacking up and doing it.
We did say that. It's like you can only talk about looks, money, games so much. There's not much more to say about sexual dynamics.
Well,
I mean, it's better than what's coming out. Like, I guarantee you, there's no Ray in that one. What do they call her? Mary Sue.
Yeah, there ain't no.
At the very least, it should be entertaining,
Mary
right?
Sue in that, yeah. And it's like, and the other part is we're kind of fighting an uphill battle because as fun as it would be to say, hey, we're going to put this on Netflix, I'm fairly sure Netflix probably wouldn't like take the content. But there's other outlets and there are other platforms and there are other ways of doing this that I think are even better. And I'm exploring those and trying to help these guys out. So it's like, this is just a project that I've gotten into and I'm really enjoying it. Kevin's a great guy. I mean, he's 25 years old and the guy is he does everything. I mean, everything. Really? Yeah. And people say, oh, this generation is hopeless. Well, you just got to know where to look. All these guys are doing it because they love to do it. They're not getting paid a ton of money for this. And like he said in the promo reel, he's doing all of his own stunts. I mean, he's in really good shape. Don't get me wrong, but like, I mean, he's throwing him through tables and shit. Like, well, there's no stunt man. He is the stunt man. So that's what you have to do. And he's got a good team. His brothers are on board. He's one of 4 brothers, the Savo brothers, and that's actually is his real last name is Savo. That's where the Savaho, sort of, it was the germ of the idea anyway. So
fair enough.
Yeah. Carl, how are you doing, man?
Doing well. That's a cool movie, Rollo. I'm looking forward to being able to watch some of that.
Yeah. Well, it's not a movie. It's it is a series right now. It's a YouTube series. By the way, and I will put it in the description of this video. I have not put it in yet because I didn't have time to change the description before we went live, but I will. Episode 1 is already available. So if you want to watch the first one, this is the one I'm in is in episode 2, which is forthcoming. As soon as that's available, trust me, I will make a big deal out of it. You won't not know that the episode's out there, but yeah, it's a series. We're talking about doing that. He's also got a full feature length movie called The Opener, which is a little bit more serious. But he's done a lot of stuff. Independent filmmaker. This is the guy.
Be definitely
okay.
interesting.
It's going to be interesting. I'm going to have to catch that later.
Yeah. It's fun. It's trust me. Don't take it too seriously, and you'll be.
The guy literally saves only hoes. It's like, I get it.
Yeah, but it's like, how like I always say, like the red pill kind of ruins like old 80s power ballads, or old 80s music, like, oh, I can't listen to that anymore because I know the lyrics and I'm red pill and it just rubs me the wrong way. Well, how about we do some like content and work within the context of the red pill and produce some really killer content? I mean, why not?
Hey, as long as it's entertaining, right? That's all that matters.
Yeah. So, Carl, this was kind of your topic today. We're going to talk about women's habits and the future. Like, women's habits are men's future, and of course, I'm saying that it's as a teaser, as bait to sort of start things off. But actually, I'm going to put us like this because that seems a little bit better. And so, Carl, what was your idea? Like, explain like what it was about the habits thing that was sort of the germ of the idea for you for today's topic.
Well, I was standing on a street corner on a box screaming that vetting is retarded. And then I started to kind of think deeper on it. Like, what are they actually vetting for?
Yeah.
And they didn't seem, and I'm not trying to misrepresent the scientific process of vetting here, but they didn't seem to check for habits a lot of the time. And, check out the mother, right? So you'll see what she looks like in 40 years. That's one method. And you can kind of see the relationship dynamic between her parents, which is going to tell you a lot about her tool set for negotiating relationships. And then I started to think about, what about all the habits we tell men they should have? Going to the gym, eating reasonably healthy, taking care of themselves, grooming, etc. What are her habits like there? Because if she's had those habits for 5-10 years, you can reasonably say that it'll probably be there at least for 5 to 10 years more.
Yeah.
Because it takes time to unlearn things that are very automatic to you. Like, take a morning routine. It's the same every time. You don't deviate from it. And if you deviate from it, it usually fucks up your day.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, what if the girl has all the good habits? Like, she works out, she eats well, she likes healthy food, she likes taking care of her looks, she likes makeup, etc. Versus the girl with the bad habits who likes, I don't know, cocaine and bad boys.
Yeah.
So because she's going to have her habits too. Like, she could be pounding beers like 7 days a week, which is a bad habit to have if you want to avoid liver cancer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking in the chat here, and a lot of the guys are talking about vetting plus boundary enforcement. Thank you, Abraham, for that. And I think that a lot of guys, one of the reasons why they like looking at habits or like being like looking at women with a critical eye, I think is really tough for a lot of guys because we're told not to be judgmental. Like, to be judgmental, like almost like exclusively, it excludes you from being included in like the cool guys club. You just got to be cool and just go with it and be vibing, right? You just got to vibe with her. And don't be judgmental. Don't care if she has an OnlyFans. Don't care if she has habits of that could in the future be something that you would have to deal with later on. Assuming that's, of course, that you're looking for a long-term relationship. And I think that probably the first place to start with all of this is like vetting versus like just being judgmental or being discern. Maybe judgmental is the wrong word. Like being discerning about that person and what she's really all about. I have I wanted to, maybe it's a little too early in the podcast for this, but like I've asked guys this before. It's like, have you ever been, and maybe you guys have you ever been with a girl who was once fat and you met her when she was thin and she showed you like pictures? Those are my fat pictures. Now I'm thin. Now I lost this weight and now I'm in the gym and now I'm suddenly a gym rat, but I used to be a fat kid. And I think one of the first things that goes through a lot of guys' minds is like, she's going to get fat again. As soon as she gets comfortable, as soon as she gets a guy, she's going to get fat again. And so there's this sort of like guys. I think some guys are just want to believe, well, she's got good habits and then she's going to be a Fitness America pageant, competitor or something like that until you come along. And then you're going to get lazy. So is that the first thing that runs through your head? Like, have you ever seen a girl who was once fat and she became thin and you kind of had that concern?
Dude, I was thinking back from like 30 years of every girl I've ever known. Not one girl has come back from the fat apocalypse in my entire life.
Yeah, usually if they go from thin to fat.
Yeah, or from fat to fatter.
Fat to thin and then maybe back to fat again.
Jesus, I really tried to struggle. I can't think of a single example other than like losing the baby weight. That's the best I can come up with, but that's a different thing than what you're talking about.
Have you ever seen a girl change her habits? Like change from one way of doing things or like, routine or regimen like that for the better, right? I mean, obviously you change habits. She started drinking after I started hanging out with her.
Only once. And it took me like 10 years to get there.
Because I think a lot of guys get this idea that like they're gonna like. I've had guys tell me this. They say, "Well, I want her to lose weight, so I bought her a Peloton," right? Or I rather than sit her down at the dinner table and say, "Honey, you're packing on the pounds. Why don't we go to the gym? Here's a gym membership." Women will lose their effing minds if like their boyfriend or their husband or whatever hands them like the gym card. Hey, I bought you a gym membership.
Well,
Here
yeah, you know why, right? Because she knows. This is like perfect examples of like don't reward bad behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Girl gets mad, you back off. You've just incentivized her that every time you say something she doesn't like to get mad, and you'll back off. I would guarantee for those kind of guys, half the time she's not even mad. Maybe she is, maybe she isn't, but she just knows. A stern talking to will shut this right down. I absolutely can't stand it because a lot of guys, they treat that as like, oh, if I tell her she needs to lose some weight, she'll get mad at me. It's like, yes, she will. Yeah, but I don't want that. It's like, why not? Because then what? She'll leave you? Well, I mean, don't you want to lose weight anyway? Does it matter? It's like, let her be mad. You're not lying. And I think it's absolutely funny that it has to be the red-pilled guys that signify the idea that don't lie to your woman. Why don't you just be honest with her?
Yeah,
and it just seems so revolutionary to them when you explain it that way.
We're the assholes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I am the asshole. I have a 7-minute video of some chick just telling them that everybody, but I'm not lying.
Like, and maybe Carl, you can tell me this. Actually, before that, let me get to Joe's super chat. Thanks for that $99, my friend. Do you want Don DeMarco or do you want? Oh, I got a better one. Cheetos. There, that's for you.
Where do you find these things?
I have people tell me like some people just like send me sound clips, and then I was on a Masculine Geek and I got that one, and I
want to cast magic missile.
This is so like 2008 Modern Warfare 2 online.
I know. Or you can just have this. Everybody tells me I shouldn't steal that, but I'm like, I'm gonna steal it. Everybody, why not? Carl, I got another question for you. Like, let's name some habits that you're talking about here. Let's get it. Like, obviously, I use I use that image of the chick who was once thin, then later on she lets herself go once she gets into a relationship. I think that's probably the easiest illustration of this. What are some other habits that women have that like end up affecting a guy's life? What, assuming the guy isn't on top of his game, what are some of the other habits that you are considering?
Well, spending money is usually pretty big because it's one of the most argued about things in any relationship. And of course, you don't mind if she has bad habits with money when you're just having her as a plate or something because it's not your problem. But if you're in a long-term relationship and suddenly you find out that, oh, she has 150 grand in credit card debt, great. Or she has extremely expensive habits. Like, one of the reasons you should avoid horse girls, but not just because they're insane, also because that's an expensive freaking hobby. And if she has any hobbies like that are expensive, or drinking habits, obviously. Lifestyle habits, how often does she party, how much does she shop, how much time does she spend in various situations. Those are things that can give you an indication of what you have to deal with.
What about
there'll always be some change of habits, but they're usually, if the guy's on top of his game, those things change together. So it's a kind of a leadership situation.
Yeah, I think certainly the spending habits is one, and I think a lot of girls get maybe a little bit too comfortable these days, because a lot of girls, like, you know, if you go and you watch Fresh and Fit, or you go and watch other podcasts around there, and you see these girls come on there, they're really all about the bag, right? That's the first thing they'll say. Like, I think that's supposed to be maybe the right thing to say, but then on the other hand, they want to be like super independent, right? They want to be, I want to be the CEO of my own life and that kind of stuff, but they still want a guy. And it's like, no, you just want a friend with benefits. You want
Sounds like you want the idea of a guy.
Yeah, you want a fuck buddy is what you want. You want some guy who's gonna, it's almost like a prostitute. Like, what do they say? What the joke is? You don't pay a prostitute to bang you. You pay her to leave, right? It's pretty much the same thing with these girls right now. Is like they if they say they want to, I make my own damn money. Well, essentially what you want is a prostitute. You want a male prostitute is what you want. You want him to make his own money and you to make your own money. You come together, get off, and then he goes his own way and you go your own way. And that seems, I have been harping on that for a little while, but it's like, maybe it's that mindset. Maybe it's like coming into that mindset. When we're talking about vetting, when we're talking about like the habits that woman has, especially when it comes to like Carl was saying here just a second ago, is spending habits. And the easiest way to discern that is to look at credit debt. Women, this is old school Tom Likas. Like Likas used to say this all the time. It's like you need to be aware of what her credit load is before you decide that you're going to get into a long-term relationship with her. Because think about it this way: is you've got women who are getting into college more than men. I mean, the college enrollment is somewhere around 65 to 70% women right now. I know it's at least 65, depending on the university, depending on the state. Got it, but so you've got that debt load that comes from student debt. You've got the debt load that comes from all of the credit card companies that are hitting up women, young women between the ages of, say, like 18 and about 22, 23 right there, when they are in college, because they know damn well that they can't afford it just on whatever whatever school, Pell Grants or whatever else, whatever their student loans are paying. So they're already getting that, and if women are not taught good habits with respect to money, which will probably come from their fathers, who are usually non-existent. If you are taking student loans out to go to college for whatever, now I need Cappy. I sent Cappy away, and now I need Cap to come back. But
economics angle.
Exactly. But if you've got women who are already starting with a huge debt load, I think really that is reflected in whatever their habits happen to be when you meet them. Now, this is not just a young woman's game; it's also an older woman's game. So if you're a guy who finds yourself in the dating market between, like, say, 45 years old, suddenly you're divorced and everything, you're like, Rollo, I want to date younger girls. Okay, well, younger to you might be 35, might be 30, might be 25, who knows? But even if you go and you look at what women's debt load is and what their habits are at 23, as opposed to what their habits are at 33, that's really telling, because if they've had those habits and they've had that's been sort of their lifestyle is reflected in their habits, right? And if that's their lifestyle at 23 and then again at 33, that's a habit, and that's a pattern, and that's, people can say, well, that's a red flag. Okay, that is a red flag. It could be a red flag depending on what the habit is, but it's setting a precedent. At least it's something that has, what do they say? Is it habits form a destiny or some shit like that? I can't remember what it is. It's like practices, habits form a future forms a destiny or whatever. Like, so it's
I've heard something similar to that, where it's actions change mindset doesn't make actions.
Yeah, somebody's gonna have something for me with that. What did you say, John? Advice for ending an 18-month relationship, feeling mixed, not so much Captain Save a Ho, more like Captain Save an Insecure Girl. Are you Jesus Christ? Because if you are, I'd like to talk to you. But you're nobody's savior, first off. So here's how you do it. Mental point of origin. Put yourself first. Put yourself in the situation where it's like you got to protect yourself first. Yeah. That's number one.
You know why guys have a hard time with this, right? Because they want to end it, but still be a good person at the end.
Right.
Like, look, dude. Yeah, there's no way you can dump her.
Yeah.
And not be the bad guy. Just accept you're going to be the bad guy, and the quicker and faster you do it, the better off it's going to be. And then maybe you're one of those guys that has, like, where it's like 6 months a friend with benefits after a breakup while you go find somebody new. That's not the worst place to be.
Yeah. Do you, somebody asked me this, and maybe this is sort of, I guess, peripheral to today's topic, but like Ryan, how long have you been with your sort of live-in girlfriend / domestic situation?
Just common law wife, man.
12
years now?
12 years?
Say 11 or 12.
Does she have hobbies?
Oh, yeah. There was a phase there where she didn't, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we first got together, that's when her friends kind of dropped off and then became a bit more of a homebody around me. But that was something we made like a deliberate attempt to foster. I think for most couples, they kind of turn the other partner into the hobby. And I think that's where you're going with this, isn't it?
Entertain me, yes. And that's a habit thing. I think one of the things that I see, again, a pattern, habits, is women's habits are whatever is, and I think that they start out this way, is whatever is promoting their sort of brand of me, because everybody's their own personal brand right now. But like going out clubbing, going out shopping for shoes. Like shoes are women's hobbies, right? Like, ooh, let's go shoe shopping, right? Very few, unless you're a gamer girl, and I think most gamer girls are probably a different. That's a different demographic. But I mean, you can say, well, you know, girls are going to watch. It's gonna, I have hobbies. Look at all my toys in the background of my shelf, right? I have hobbies, right? Well, okay, yeah, but
not you, miss. Every other girl. Okay, you're good.
Yeah. The thing is like it's very few women, I think, have like really kind of in consuming hobbies, and if they do, they're probably not the kind of girls that you're aware of on a daily basis. So that's not to say that women can't be artistic or that they don't have hobbies. I'm sure that they do, but I think that when we're talking about habits and things like that, looking at what a woman's hobbies are or what her interests are is I think is key to understanding what a woman's habits are that may in the future affect you and your relationship.
You're making my drywall example sound way more profound than it is. Like my girl, that was the thing. Her dad was a general contractor, so she learned how to do renos and that she came over to my place one day and like helped me finish the floors, and she did like better than I did. And I was like, when she always asks, why do you love me? I'm like, it's because you can drywall. But you know what I mean? It's like you said, it's something that's outside, like other than like the carnal issue. What does she offer in a relationship? And this one, you know, she can cook, she can do drywalling. I can do the stuff too. But just the point that she's valuable for more than just being a girl, right? It's a rare thing. And to tie this into what you're saying about the fresh and fit girls who are on there, brand to me, a lot of guys, and this is the problem that bothers me, is a lot of guys will take that early frame announcement. I'm here to shop. I want a guy. I want his own money. Like you said, a prostitute, right? A guy hears that and for the guys without frame, their first response is try to argue with them. Why don't your values align with my values? When it's like, weren't you just telling me about vetting for a wife? Why are you telling her to do anything if your whole plan going in there was to find a reason to out her from your life? You know? Yeah. It's almost like vetting is hard and they don't want to vet. They just want to manipulate a girl into being their perfect waifu.
Yeah,
it just seems very strange. As a male sexual strategy, I can see why they need guys like you to tell them what to do, because they're just clueless.
This is funny. It's like what I find interesting is the poor level of education, ability to discuss and culture of these so-called university graduates when they come to podcasts. Yeah, I think he's probably referring to our last run-in with the fuchsia hair crowd, the tone police, right? We're not supposed to.
Look, guys, we're embarrassed enough. All right.
Yeah, that was. You know, I had high hopes for that. I really did, but it was just.
I thought it went well. Everybody was nice and polite, and I just didn't expect the cultist thing.
It was. But I mean, that's what do you expect? Yeah, garbage in, garbage out.
Fair enough. I guess I did say I didn't care about their childhood abuse stories as like the Batman origin shit. So I'll own that.
Yeah,
I'll own that.
In case you guys don't know what we're talking about, we actually, I don't think I've even like promoted that link for when we were on all that. No. But we had done a breakdown video of what was her name, Emma Thorne, is that what her name is?
Yeah.
And then we did a breakdown of another breakdown of another breakdown of, and it was like inception of breakdown videos, and we had to go back to the source. So that's what we're talking about. But I think this is interesting is because I think a lot of guys think that they have to find sort of like they're looking for this sort of intellectual stimulating woman as well as being like, you know, a porn star in bed. I think you have to remember that there's a fine balance between the girl who's going to be college educated and be able to talk to you about Kierkegaard and you know, Nietzsche and whatever else, you know, whatever else floats your boat kind of thing. And then also, you know, suck the chrome off a trailer hitch, right? I mean,
I just don't get that all in one, like they're like a tool, like a all-in-one tool. Could you imagine that? Like, first off, there's putting the pressure on somebody to be perfect. Secondly, if you're the kind of guy who can't find 3 other guys to talk to about all this stuff that want to put up with you, what makes you think a girl is going to be any more magnanimous? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, your college buddies, they sit here and they're like, I'm tired of him quoting Marx. I'm out of here. I'm just going to go drinking. And you're like, well, that's fine. This girl I picked up at the bar will do it then. She'll tell you to go pound sand too.
Yeah. Carl, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say that usually, have you seen that thing from Microsoft? Like, when was the last time you recommended that someone try Microsoft Windows as their operating system? The correct answer to that question is people aren't just sitting around discussing what operating systems are the best. And it's the same thing here. You don't have to discuss everything. And if you're the kind of guy who likes to discuss Nietzsche and Kierkegaard, you're probably kind of annoying too.
Yeah. We need to do, we really need to do at some point, because I think we're coming back around to this again, is we need to have the episode of where we kind of go into why having high intelligence is sort of like almost like a deficit for guys when it comes to game. Because I think a lot of guys tend to overthink the game aspect of things. First of all, the game aspect, and then they overthink what their expectations are or should be from women. It's like that. What's that meme that you were posting up, Ryan, where it's like the guy at the party and all the chads are getting laid, and this guy's like, well, those guys really aren't good for you because I would be better because I have.
Yeah, they only knew I was a good father.
yeah. It's like logically and rationally speaking, I'm the one that you should be with right now in the long term. And
it's such a wonderful quote,
it's
too.
gamma game. Yeah, gamma game.
Gamma game. Yeah. I'm special. Trust me. I know what I'm talking about. I'm the expert of me. I don't know. It's just the whole thing is weird, and I hate like Troy's getting sucked into it, and you are, and I kind of sort of am, where it ends up all these things turn into arguments with some incel virgin who's made his identity being an incel virgin, and just having to argue that the sky is blue. Mm-hmm. And I'm just thinking, why are you here? Like, we could spend this time talking about ways to do the vetting. What kind of hobbies are good hobbies? What kind of hobbies are bad? Like actual constructive talk. Mm-hmm. But because a large majority of, no offense to you guys, other than you audience, you guys are sweet, but like the other audience, most of the time it's just trying to convince them that yes, your only reason being on Earth isn't just to waste away high as fuck. You can actually pull some success out. I find it frustrating. But then again, that's like a vetting thing too, right? Like I pride myself on an autism-free chat because I ban people liberally as soon as I get any hint of that tomato farmer nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time,
probably why I'm like a tenth of the size of you.
Oh, why are you guys letting yourselves get sucked into it? I mean, you guys are getting laid. I hope the guy who's discussing with you, that's the highlight of his fucking day.
Mm-hmm.
So. Of course, they're going to try and keep going on and on about it so they can keep the interaction going. That's the closest they get to having any kind of social interaction, I'm guessing, to some extent.
Well, nobody ever said I was smart.
And I'm not sure how the environment there works, but generally I expect that there's a pecking order, even among, like, incel virgins.
Yeah. Well, it's like you get to a point of diminishing returns. When you have that conversation, when you're, and it's not just, I usually mention that in terms of like women, like you get to the point of diminishing returns where it's like you can explain things to women, you can appeal to reason to women for so long. And then once it gets to that stage where they don't have any answers and it doesn't feel good anymore, that's when you get who hurt you. Anytime you hear who hurt you, you've hit the point of diminishing returns. And now it's time to go, okay, let's go to the club. Let's go drink White Claws. Let's go have some fun. Oh, this isn't feeling good? Okay. Then you know where you're at. It's like, I remember when, and I'm sorry to get off topic here, but I remember when Vox Day did his video on sociosexual hierarchies, and he was talking about alpha, beta, delta, gamma, omega, that kind of stuff. And part of the gamma section, that's always the most interesting one, because I think it's probably the most relatable, is gammas have a tendency of trying to reason women into bed. Like you should want me, right? Because I have all, like, I'm going to do this Excel spreadsheet as to why I am the superior choice for reproduction with you, kind of thing. And now, not literally, but that's the mindset, is like, it's the secret king mindset, which is I'm really a high value man. It's just that all these women can't recognize real, true high value, because if they could, they'd be all over this. They'd be this guy right here.
But
this guy.
what's the thing too about that? It's like it's either the product or the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything is about the unhealthy narcissist, is about them except for blame. Like, let's say you are the greatest guy on earth and they just don't know it. Well, like, whose fault is that they can't see it? Is it the speaker's problem or the listener's problem? You know?
Yeah.
That's why you can tell it's a cope, because like every time you follow it through, it always comes back to you. Like, what are you doing that's causing this problem?
Yeah.
They never get there.
Vox Day also, I think it was like towards the end of that section of that sociosexual hierarchy, he was talking about how like women, when they encounter a guy who's a gamma male, who's like trying to in some way impress women with his intelligence as if it's like some sort of sexual attractant of some sort, that they have this and they can't explain why, but they have this irresistible urge to punch the guy in the face, right? Or it's those guys that they call creepy. Because, and I figured it out, is the reason why they feel that kind of like instinctual urge to like punch the guy and get away from him is because what that guy's trying to do is trying to make his case that she should reproduce with him. And what that does is it removes sexual selection. It preempts hypergamy, right? Oh, don't worry about that hypergamy thing, ladies. I'm the choice that you should be banging and reproducing with. Let me explain to you why, right? That sounds like a guy who's trying to sneaky fucker game, right? He sounds like he's trying to get around the hypergamous filter so that he can sort of come in the back door and say, "Hey, but ladies, I'm actually the perfect one here. I'm just
like, yeah, it's like that
with you."
Like that meme in the news where they're like, if you don't suck trans dick, then you're a homophobe or something. You're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I bet you it's probably that confusing to a girl to hear.
And you know what? It's probably that, I was going to say that confusing, but also that like kind of like gives you that kind of existential like fight or flight, like defensive crouch kind of thing. For guys, it's like, yo, you should be attracted to trannies, and if you're if it's a girl, then you should be attracted to me because I'm the smartest guy in this room. It's like it's that same, you know.
Hey, maybe gamma males will get into the alphabet mafia. It could be LGBTQIA plus and then G for gamma at the end, but a capital G, like extra big. Then they can get part of the grift. That'd be awesome.
Sorry, go ahead, Carl. You were going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to comment that if you start to look at the hierarchy within that space, though, there are ways to demonstrate intelligence that aren't sounding like you're an accountant.
Yes.
Humor is a good one. Artists, things like music, painting, those are all demonstrations of intelligence. So there are ways of doing it, which isn't like strategically peppering every single conversation with random quotations, for instance.
Yeah. Acta non verba.
Yeah, exactly. And it's and Carl, you're getting on into something that I've actually written. There's an essay for that, and it's called "Just Get It." And women want guys that can just get it and they understand. And I think that's actually we can also sort of turn that around to today's topic. Is like women want a guy who just gets it. They want a guy with social intelligence. They want a guy that knows that a game is being played and he's a good player of that game. Whether that's like, hey baby, are you down to fuck? Or is it also like understanding, even once you get past that point, understanding women's nature and expressing that or manifesting that in your behaviors and your lifestyle and your just like your vibe, man, like manifesting that in your presence and just basically the atmosphere around you, that you're the guy that other women want to bang and other men want to be, right? And as such, if you are genuinely that guy, if you're authentically that guy, you're going to manifest behaviors that show that. Part of those behaviors is discerning and understanding the nature of women. And understanding that, and that comes with understanding what their habits are, what their lifestyle's about, and having had enough experience with enough women to say, I know what's up. I just get it. I know what's
describing pre-selection.
Imagine that. Yes.
Well,
but it's natural. It's natural.
Yeah, it's natural.
Pre-selection.
Well, I'll put an example for this. Let's say you want to tell somebody how you got receipts. You've slept with 1,000 girls and you're king shit. Mm-hmm. Is pre-selection you buying for the time of a couple hookers to stand beside you in the video? That's the same way as somebody telling you how smart they are in a thing. Or is it a guy who understands women well enough that he's put into some random obscure situation and can savvily get himself out of it? Mm-hmm. I make that's the case. That's why a lot of people asking for receipts online get that same punch in the face gamma male vibe I find as the guy telling a girl about how big his brain is and how great Karl Marx is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, they don't know how to be smart. So they have to like fake being smart. But if you're not smart, you don't know what smart people do. So you just guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm rich, I'll put spinners on my car. It's like, no, if you were rich, you wouldn't think of putting some shit on that. You just have a Bentley, idiot.
Yeah. You put
and a driver. Yeah, rich people don't drive themselves. You dumbass. But you know what I mean? Like, they're so outside of what, like Carl and I were talking for 2 hours about the social signals you send depending on what you're doing. which is a big marker on how people decide if they are attracted to you initially or not.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't even know what that culture you're trying to emulate is, your signals are always going to come across as, like you said, that punch in the face awkward.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of guys miss on that. And that's why you can't really fake a lot of stuff, or it's extremely hard. That's why Mystery and David D'Angelo had to spend years on making a pamphlet to put it into a 27-point form, because it's hard to fake.
Mm-hmm. I think what's funny about all of that is that, like, when you look at Mystery and you look at the early PUAs, even David D'Angelo to an extent, all those guys who are in the game, right?
Yeah.
They don't know what the hell they're doing. They're just like, does this work? No, it was all trial and error at that time. I honestly, I think one of the reasons we keep coming back to Mystery all the time is he's the only guy that was trying to put like all of this data together, aggregate all of this sort of trial and error, this experimentation, and that's what it was a social experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And then trying to apply sort of like his rudimentary knowledge of, like, evolutionary psychology, which even back then was still sort of in its infancy. And it was trying to, sort of put two and two together. But for the most part, most of these guys were going out there and go, did this work? No, didn't. Well, okay. And then they would try to find reasons that, later on they would rationalize the reasons why it worked or it didn't work, as opposed to like trying to figure out like what men's nature was and what women's nature was, and then working within that framework and then going out and experimenting.
Yeah. And I actually kind of enjoy that. I think Red Pill has adopted that consequentialist approach.
Yeah,
I just mean the way you like the post hoc justifications.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I know I've said the line a bunch the last couple of weeks that if I tell a guy the moon's made out of cheese and he goes to work out 3 days a week, then from a Red Pill perspective, the moon's made out of cheese. And everybody's like, oh, that's funny and it's pretty goofy, but I'm trying to describe consequentialism without sounding like I got my head up my ass.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you said, they tried they A/B tested things. This worked, this didn't work. These qualities in a girl works for me. These qualities don't work. And then whatever justification you make afterwards is fine, but as long as it makes you focus on those indicators that work, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I found. So yeah, and that's why we get into those same arguments like with short-haired McGee there, where, well, you guys said all women are like that, but I've met a girl who isn't like that. So your whole theory is garbage. You're like, I don't care if they're all like that. It has no bearing on the conversation.
Yeah. Man bites dog. Yeah, that's the exception proves the rule. Anyways, let me throw this on here real quick because I got something for you. I might go to a foam cannon party. Any tips, Rollo? No, not me, but this guy might.
Jesus.
I had that. I was like, oh, I have that in the overlay. Let me throw that out there.
Speaking of which, doesn't that just like ruin the pump on those hot tubs too?
I think John's still on vacation. I don't know. Like, he keeps sending me pictures of like where he is in Japan and these other places. Cody, thanks for that $20, my friend. I don't know if you had something else beyond that. And gosh, thank you very much. Thank you. I just passed 116,000 subs on this channel.
Jesus.
And it's like, it's nice and comfortable here, right? I'm not at the 300,000 level where like, comments to go streaming by. I can actually get to comments if I want to.
Hey, have they given you your YouTube rep yet or no?
Yeah. What's that?
Have you got your YouTube rep yet or no?
My YouTube rep? You mean?
Yeah, don't they give it to you after 100,000?
Handler yet? No, nobody's contacted me yet. But maybe that's just because I don't rate.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I know it takes forever for you to get the little plaque that you can put on the back of your videos now.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Reyes. Yeah. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow.
How many more do you guys need? Don't you do like 18 streams a week?
Yeah, we just don't need 4 hours.
Yeah. I need more, but less.
Yeah, and then Braver Leech. Yeah, thank you. I have the A6400 now. This actually, it's the same camera. It's a different lens. it's the lens that costs more than the camera.
What'd you end up going with? A 35 mil fixed or?
It's it's a 20 millimeter 1.8. So it's the same one that John was using that he said was so good. And I love it. I just have to manage the lighting in here to just get it just right. And I think I finally dialed it in.
Well, yeah. Well, the beauty of that is it's the widest lens you can get without getting any of that weird fisheye effect. Yeah. I guess there's no point talking this tech stuff. I should maybe just shut up about
I know. It's not like I know any different. Well, it's funny is whenever, like when I was out with doing the shoot with Kevin, all I'm doing is looking at people's hardware. I'm looking at like the lenses they're using, the setup they've got, the lighting rig. Like the lighting rig is minimal for a lot of this stuff, but it still comes out very cinematic and it looks really good too. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about, let's get back to habits here. I think that part of the problem that most guys have, like I said in the beginning, there's number one is the being judgmental, guys not wanting to say, well, that's just how she is, or buying into the female centric narrative that you shouldn't be judgmental, that you should, like if a woman has bad habits or she has habits that are in any way concerning, well, who are you to be the judge, right? Who are you to say like, well, look at yourself. Like you look like you could lose some weight too, that kind of stuff. It's like, well, yeah, but the thing is that it presumes that men and women are just the same. It's that blank slate equalism. It's like, well, you're just as fat as she is. Well, yeah, but here's the difference is men's nature. I'm looking for a woman who has fertility and youth, younger, hotter, tighter. That's what guys are looking for primarily. I mean, anything else comes after that. Like once we get past those, then we can talk about how intelligent you are and what your hobbies are and how you think Kierkegaard's great, whatever it is, right? But we don't get to that point unless you are younger, hotter, tighter. Unless you're hot and you're available, then anything else is sort of just ancillary to that, right?
I'd almost want to add not being a burden. Like we could say the debt thing, but some girls, they're hot as shit, but they're so crazy. You're like, I'm going to get killed if I go out with her kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys have had this experience, but girls were like high on coke and that. You go out to party with them and they're like picking fights. Maybe it's my redneck upbringing. But like any girl that starts picking fights and then throws out my boyfriend could kick your ass, for me, that's like an instant, like, no, not going to be around a girl who wants me to fight some redneck who just got off of the logging bush. No.
Well, I mean, remember habits. I of course, the most obvious one is like the woman is overweight and she eats, half a pizza and 3, zingers before she goes to bed, kind of thing. That's a bad habit. Okay, we can see that. We're probably not going to want to be around that unless you're a really desperate, very thirsty guy. That's one. Those are the obvious ones. I think. What are some of the more like not so obvious ones, or the ones that guys like? We always like Rich has all these guys come on his show and they go, well, that's a red flag, can't you see it? And we're looking at this from a God's eye view, like from a third party. We can go
without the ego investment.
How did you not see this, right? And it's like, well, of course you didn't, because you are more interested in getting to younger, hotter, tighter than you are about like what her habits are and what are the things that might in the future throw things off. Because if you did get into this chick who is younger, hotter, tighter, maybe she's a freaking nightmare. Maybe she is a head case. Maybe she is just something that is bad for your life. And in the long term, like they're not seeing the forest for the trees, right? The trees being like, I really want to the proximate cause. I want to bang that chick. I want to tap that ass. That is hot, right? That's the proximate cause. The ultimate cause, of course, is she's going to ruin your life because you're looking past those red flags that we see on Rich's show or your show or whatever else. And we go, how can you not see this? They do see this. They don't care.
I'll give you a great example of a bad one too. I guess from not personal experience, but my friend's personal experience. Bad habits on girls. Ones who get wounded too much. Like, I'll put you in the example here. You want to go out, you're dating this girl, everything's great. She's nice, she's perfect, she doesn't treat you poorly, any of that shit. Every time you want to go out with your friends, oh, I don't like, him, he drinks too much, or I'm really sick tonight, I'm going to stay in, but could you just come and take care of me? And it's that, this is why guys don't see that red flag. She's having sex with me, we're having fun together, she's a great person. So why wouldn't I take care of her and reward her for all this greatness she's showing towards me? It just so happens, though, that every one of her demands involve isolating him from your friend group, isolating him from the hobbies he likes so she can have them all to herself. And it's like a slow drip feed. And guys never see that coming at all because there's no bad behavior there. It's literally, I'm great to you and do this for me. Yeah, of course I'll do it for you. You always do stuff for me. Next thing you know, he hasn't seen his friends in 6 months. He lost all of his hobbies. She sold all of his Lego ships that were hanging on his thing, and the guy's a shell of a man.
Oh.
And then the balls, he'll go on to like some women ain't shit podcast and be like, how did you not see that, bro?
Sounds like a guy we know from Holland.
Yes, buddy. I am from Holland. Isn't that weird?
But I had a friend who did this. This is how we lost him. And it was a sad thing to watch, and everybody could see it but him. And there was nothing you could say that made it bad. The only way you could argue it is like, how come every time we wanted you to come out, she gets sick? And he's like, dude, I'm taking care of her. Why are you making me pick between you two? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But there's no finger. Like, I can't say that is bad. The only thing is bad there is he was trying too hard to be too nice to somebody who treated him too well, and it ruined his life.
I thought this was interesting. how they treat the wait staff. There's a Pook quote. I'm not going to claim responsibility for this, but there's a Pook quote that says the way that Pook used to, if you don't know who Pook is, well, me and Ryan do.
Yeah.
So we'll just fill you in later. But one of the things that Pook used to say was like, and I think this was in his aphorisms section or his posts and stuff, was the way that he judges a woman is based on how she treats people who can do nothing for her. Like and of course what happens is whenever I quote that or I put that on Twitter, like women go, well, I do the same thing for guys, it's like, yeah, but you're in a different situation. Right? When we always say this, men must become, women just are, right? So if a woman just is, how does she treat other people being like just is, like with the whole the schedule of like sexual market value? Like women are given sexual market value, assuming they stay in shape, assuming they have, they like all things being equal, they look good at 23 years old, they're at the peak of their SMV, and the guys who really want to get with those girls feel really kind of powerless. But it's like the guys, like, how does that woman treat those guys? Right? Does she treat them as pay pigs and simps, or does she treat them as like human beings and tries to be, sort of, for lack of a better term, like sort of humane,
a human being, yeah,
humane, right? Like you're at the top of your game, girl. You could go date rappers and go to yacht parties and stuff like that. But how do you treat the people who are, serving you drinks? How do you treat the people who are opening the door for you? How do you treat the concierge? How do you treat the housekeeping, at your wonderful hotel? And that's what I'm talking about. Is it a humane thing, or are you just like so oblivious to them? Like that, I think, is a habit as well that can definitely, especially if you link up and you hook up with a girl like that later on in life, you end up with a woman who will end up treating you not inhumanely, right?
Yeah. I can't blame her either. Like, it works.
Yeah.
And I know I always err on the side of women who are just following their instincts and they do what they do. I can't fault them for being the way they are, Scorpion and Frog. But if she acts like that and things still come to her, rappers still want to date her because she's hot, and guys still rule over her even when they get treated like shit. I went to college with chicks that do that. They would just go and fuck with guys just to see how much of it they'd put up with.
Yeah.
And it's a bottomless well, man. Bottomless well. And so I can't even fault them for it. It's because no guy is willing to say no because they're so worried they'll lose the small chance that they may have if one day she loses her mind and decides that maybe he's worth a shot.
What about this chick?
Oh, yeah.
Is that humane or is that inhumane? Oh, the humanity of it.
Like, it's weird. Like, I see a bunch of those. You know how they usually are, where the girl acts so embarrassed and like runs off crying? This one was just kind of like, meh, not really into it.
Carl had to leave. Sorry, guys. But he was in and he's out. It's just me and Ryan today. It's the Ryan and Rollo show.
Dude, these are actually kind of fun. Last week it was like me and John for a little bit, and a lot of guys didn't really know him. They're like, holy shit, he's actually kind of cool and interesting to talk with.
Yeah, we rarely get what's funny is Carl from Black Label Logic. Go to his, you know what? I got to drop those links in there. Go to his blog, blacklabellogic.com. He's been a permanent fixture in the manosphere for a very long time. It's just getting him on here occasionally is not. You have him on your show though.
Oh yeah, it's the only chance we have to catch up, but we kind of hang out like more like friends than anything. So it's more so just an excuse for us to chat for an hour.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let me throw this one real quick again. Okay. First off, that seems very staged.
Yeah.
Very staged.
Oh, I don't think people lie on the internet, Rollo.
Are you sure?
Oh, it's got to be on. Why would you lie?
Yeah. Oh, hey, we lost Carl, but we got this guy. Guy. What's up, man?
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Oh, you're in your damn suntanning booth thing, aren't you?
Are you turning red?
No. I've just
do a show from inside the red room.
No, I've just had a crap week, so I'm not all cleaned up and in front of my desktop. I figured I'd just pop in and hang out for a bit because I saw there was just a small crowd today. Where did Carl go?
He had to take off.
He was only in for a little while.
All right, well then I'll be the placeholder. The faceless
Sure.
avatar for Carl today.
Okay.
Yeah, we were talking about the bad habits and how a lot of the guys on your show come in, and from an outsider perspective, all the red flags are super obvious, but for a guy inside, he doesn't really pay attention to them, or he doesn't care to even look.
Mm-hmm. Hey, hold on real quick. Mechanical Oakley, religions it's in the read stage right now. We're final edits, so we should probably have it by August. I had to get it. Sam's not doing the read. I had to get another guy to do the read. But that's really been most of the delay up to this point right now. But
what happened to Sam?
You can't expect it in August. Just life happened to him. So
is he okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not medical or anything like that.
Okay,
He's just got a million irons in the fire right now.
Gotcha.
So, and this is a good one. Did you propose to your wife? No, I did not.
On the Jumbotron. You took Royce's Jumbotron rule and just rolled with it.
Arena in Vegas or anything. No.
You didn't delegate a ballot tour?
Years ago on Tuesday. Thank you very much. We're still married very happily. Thank you very much, because people go, isn't he divorced? What is this, a second wife? No, stop listening to Anthony Johnson. He's full of shit. Okay. No, I'm still married to the same woman 25 years later.
Some of the weirdest lies.
It feels like, and I hate that. I feel like I have to go take a shower after I explain shit like that, because it's like, it's me, really. If you want to ask, instead of like floating out bullshit rumors, like just ask me. I'll be happy. I'm the most accessible guy in the manosphere. I think Rollo's he's on his third wife, right? And what is she, 70 now? No, dude. Ask me. Really. Just come ask me.
Wait, 70. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
All right, back to topic here. Yeah. So, Rich, as far as maybe you can help us out, Rich. What do you think are some habits? And we've already covered, just so you know, we've already covered the she's going to get fat habit. So, like, what are some other habits? And we talked a little bit about finance. Maybe you can like expound upon that. Like, what are some of the bad habits that women have that can affect a guy's future later on, assuming he ends up in some sort of LTR? I didn't say marriage; it said LTR.
Okay, so you guys talked about self-care. You want to talk about finance. What about circle of influence? Her her friends. Did you guys cover that?
Not really.
Not yet.
Okay, so let's cover those two. So let's talk about finance first. So if she's bringing a ton of debt to the table, you're going to be playing Captain Save-A-Ho, guys. You're probably going to have to bail her out. Apparently, there's a movie coming out on that real soon too.
Sooner or later.
Yeah, but yeah, it's not that often that you'll see guys get involved in an LTR with a woman that's standing on her own 2 feet and brings to the table what he does or more. Rollo's the king of hypergamy, so it's been written about many times. But women are going to date up and across, mostly up. So that means that you're going to have more than she is more often than not, and she's going to have something that you're going to have to deal with. And if debt comes with her, you got problems, buddy. It's my view to avoid that.
Yeah. No. As far as like we were just like right before you came on, I was talking about how I think it was the Pook quote was how he judges women is by how women treat other people who can do nothing for them. Like being snobby to it's like snubbing the people opening the door for her, the people who are in the wait staff, the people who are housekeeping, people who, like, especially when that woman is at the peak of her agency, which is like 23, right, on top of the world, dating rappers and everything else. As a habit, like, do you think that can like sort of lead to things like when she's 23, it's different than when she's 33. So if she's still treating the wait staff like little peons at 33, there's probably a problem there.
I see it more of like an acting role, because if she's being a giant bee to everybody else but you at the time, she's probably going to unleash that fury on you at some point as well too, and she's just acting as if she's on her best behavior. One of the conversations I had one time was along the lines of the representative leaving when you get married or you get involved in LTR when you live together. It's like, oh, she seems like a real nice person, she's sweet, she does all the things, maybe she's in your frame and all that sort of stuff, but she's evil to the wait staff, or she's difficult with the housekeeper or something like that. Well, at some point, she's going to turn that on you because, you know, how you do one thing is how you do everything usually. So that usually means that she's acting with you. She's on her best behavior. And as soon as you say, I do, or your nuptials, or she moves into your place or something like that, that's often when you can expect the representative to leave. And then you're left with that real person. So you got to keep an eye on that too.
Yeah. If she
Part of
hangs
that
out
too,
with four
like-
party girl, she's going to be the fifth.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Like, I love using the example of my baby sister for this one. She was like one of those, she's a horse girl, if that helps. And I remember this. She, at her graduation, high school graduation, she called her grad partner like a bundle of sticks in front of the entire school, like to flex on him, right? And he just took it. She was like chewing men up, spitting them out. Tall girl, horse girl, all that stuff. It's funny now. So she's been in a relationship for, I don't know, 5-6 years, pretty long time, to the first guy who told her to shut up and just said no to her. And I know, and I don't want to give guys hope that if you're dating with a girl that treats everybody like trash, that you can, you know, Captain Save-A-Ho it. But a lot of girls, they just haven't been told no. So I would say, instead of just seeing, as soon as she treats the waiter bad, it's over and assuming it's for you, take a second, try to goad a girl into like picking a fight with you on this different habits too. See how she responds to your no. Because I think it's not even so much a habit as how they deal with adversity. I know it's a little off topic, but not. But like if you tell a girl no and she loses her mind, starts smashing plates, obviously there's no redemption there. But I would hate to leave those diamonds in the rough, the kind of girls that just haven't been given boundaries. Everybody's been so permissive. She's so hot that she just didn't understand that you're not supposed to step on people's necks to get your way. And I'm not gonna lie, the guy like tamed my sister like right down, and now she's just sweet to him. Everybody else, she's still like that too. I guarantee when she fights, she's still like that too, right? But I mean, he's used to it.
This is fantastic because this is something I've dealt with a lot, which is another habit: moral flexibility. Like,
isn't that code for woman?
Well, what is ethical and what is not, right? And you're right. Yeah, it is. And I think that maybe a lot of guys need to really maybe brush up. Maybe this is remedial, but a lot of guys need to understand that, like, when it comes to cognitive dissonance, women don't have any problem with that. And that's where you get moral flexibility, because there has to be an after the fact, like a post facto rationalization that comes after the conflict that is cognitive dissonance that most women don't have a problem with. So when I talk about cognitive dissonance, if it's alpha seed and beta need, this is the easiest way to explain this. Alpha seed and beta need, right? Those are pretty conflicting, conflicting concepts, right? I want the hot guy in the foam cannon party, but I really want a guy who's going to read to my kids and be a good dad and, do the homework with them, kind of thing. Now, of course, they need those guys at different times in their lives, but those are two conflicting ideals. And if she goes for one rather than the other, she still has the other that conflicts with that one, right? So it's like my poor girls demonstration when I say, hey, would you ever get, or they say to each other, would you ever get with a guy on the first date? And they go, yeah, of course, but not if he was boyfriend material, which seems like completely cognitively dissonant. It's like, why wouldn't you want to like maximize your chances with the guy who's going to be a good long-term thing, but the guy, hot guy in the foam cannon party, is the one that you want to get with? And so there's this, they laugh about it, right? Yeah, you bang the fun hot guy, but you marry this guy. That's cognitive dissonance. And if one of those choices leads to optimizing hypergamy, they're fine with it. And other women, they're fine with other women being fine with it. You know what I'm saying? So the sisterhood encourages that cognitive dissonance to be in some way resolved, usually humorously. Mm-hmm. And so when a woman decides on one or the other, there has to be a moral, an ethical, I don't even get, because we don't even want to go like morality here, but usually it's moral because it's chick crack, right? But there has to be a moral sort of rationale that goes along with why she picked one instead of the other, when in the past she fucked the hot guy in the foam cannon party, but now she's with the youth pastor.
Oh, what's that narcissist prayer? Do you remember this one?
No, but that sounds good. What is it?
Oh, I might have to look it up. It's like, I didn't do it, and if I did, I didn't mean to, and if I did, it wasn't my fault, and if I did, hold on a sec, I'll pull it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Serenity prayer, but it's for narcissists. There it is. Oh, fuck, that didn't happen, and if it did, it wasn't that bad, and if it was, that's not a big deal, and if it is, it's not my fault, and if it was, I didn't mean it, and if I did mean it, you deserved it.
Yeah.
I think that sums it up just
there's
perfectly.
your moral, it's more ambiguity, and that's another thing I should say as well, because you have to be really careful of that. I think another one is, and and this sort of fits into that. This is a habit that I think guys need to be focused on. Is a lot of women are going to be first of all, they're going to be very self-focused. That goes without saying, because there's an innate solipsism that goes along with that. That's part of the machine. If you want to get involved, you're going to be dealing with women's solipsism to various degrees. Today, it's never been more overblown. Accept that and go on with the game. If you don't, then get out of the game. Right?
Yep.
Then go jerk off, go be a MGTOW, go be a black pill, whatever. Get out of the game. If you cannot accept women's solipsism, then you have no business being in the game. Second of all is that so once you've accepted that as sort of like your operative state, then it's like, okay, what are the habits that go along with that? Well, she's going to be self-focused. She might be a quote unquote feminist, or she might be a closet feminist, but there are behaviors and there are habits that come as a result of that belief set. So it's like, her habit might be, I'm only going to vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, right? I'm only going to vote for candidates who support abortion rights or a woman's right to choose, or whatever the buzzword is. And again, it doesn't necessarily, I'm using the easy to understand example is, of course, leftist progressivists, but it also applies to tradcons. It also applies to the conservative side of things too. So there's going to be habits that are formed as a part of that moral ambiguity that is sort of like this very convenient way to sort of offset why she is who she is now. Once you get to the epiphany phase, once that woman is 29 to 30, 31 years old, that comes in. That's where those habits are key. Are clutch, man.
I haven't heard clutch in a while.
Clutch, man.
Rad, dude.
I've been watching Jim Rome too much. Gabriel here says, my ex, we have 2 boys, 5 and 6 years old, dating a guy for 8 months. Dude bought her a $2.5 million house, paid her debt, bought her a new Porsche. Don't even moving in with her. Okay,
honestly, that sounds like an awesome deal. He doesn't have to worry about child support accusations coming in later.
All she has to tell me is that he's a real nice guy.
Buy the guy a beer.
Yeah, thank him.
Lose your ex-wife and the kids, and now you don't have to pay anything because he covered it? Dude, doing the Lord's work. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for that $25 super chat.
Yeah, it sucks for that guy. I don't know why you care about him.
Let's chop it up on the circle of influence, because that's really, really important. There's a lot of women that, we've all come across that just have shitty friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
They fly up all the red flags, for my 20 red flag chapters, or a whole bunch of them. They bring a bunch of baggage in tow, and this girl that you're seeing, will start giving you some lyrics or some narrative lines at some point. When you point to those facts, hey, why do you surround yourself with these other ladies that she's going to be offended by? And she's going to say, oh, well, they're not that bad people. I've known them for a long time. I've known them since high school, blah, blah, blah. You're going to hear all those excuses, but at some point, you got to realize if she's not going to level up, her circle of influence, if she's going to let these anchors drag her down, they're going to affect your life too at some point. Because, you get involved with a chick in LTR, you decide to wife her up, you have kids with her. Guess what? Her friends are there. There's going to be 5 chicks in her ears, chirping away and offering their opinion at times when it could be problematic for you. So it's something you definitely want to look at. Habits like that are a serious problem.
I've encountered that with respect to family too.
Oh, yeah.
There are women who are really locked into their family to the point where they get with a really beta male guy and he'll go anywhere. And usually if it's that kind of girl, it's, we need to live down the street from my mom.
Yeah.
We need to live closer to my family.
Or even move the family into the house that he's paid for too, right?
Exactly. And so he's footing the bill where it's, oh, well, if I'm going to get pregnant, I'm going to need my mom there. She's going to be the grandma who's going to help me out. Dude, that right there, it should be an automatic next. That should be an eject now button. Hit that.
Guys don't like to admit, though, that they wasted time. Like that year they were dating, they always wait. A girl will always wait until you're hooked to bring up weird shit like that.
Yeah.
Because that stupid cost sunk fallacy. Guys think that they think we're hitting the wall and we're running out of eggs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, dude, stop thinking you're a chick. You're not a chick. You can. When was Mick Jagger? He was a kid in his 90s or something like that, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh, he just had a kid. He was I think he was late 70s. I think he was 77. I posted about that one, and that was a while back. But like he was 77.
Yeah.
When that went down. And I always thought, wow, man, this guy's, I mean, again, it's almost like I hate using that as an example.
Well, it's an exception. I get it.
Well, it's an exception to the rule, but it's an exception kind of like, oh, well, Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher, they're going to make it. They're going to make it. You know, it's like, well, it's like saying, well, you don't worry. You can be 74. You're going to have more kids at 74.
Yeah. But you know what I mean, though? Like the exception kind of proved the rule. Demi Moore dated the young guy, tried to stick together, didn't work out. Mick Jagger in his 70s still knocking up kids. These are just extreme examples of bell curve behavior.
Yeah.
The reason I bring it up is because like it shows you there's no biological clock for men. If a girl wants to spend a year buttering you up, then all of a sudden has this weird demand, just say no. And if she decides to leave you over it, like, who do you think is going to flinch first on this game of chicken? Oh, jeez. The girl who's at the epiphany phase or the guy who can keep going till his 70s?
I
Jesus,
apologize.
man.
I'm sorry.
There's a TikTok theme on that.
You're making my stomach turn.
Yeah.
On the aging thing, you should see it. There's a TikTok trend. There was this one chick, it's like a chain smoking voice. I'm only 35. And you looked, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that out there. But yeah, just those habits that you're talking about, they're important because they age you. Smoking ages you. Partying ages you. Not sleeping ages you. Being a workaholic ages you. And girls don't have the facial collagen. Like you see it in their eyes. They think it's the 1,000 cock stare, but what it really is a girl acting like a man for 10 years and is wearing down her face.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get as many smokers as we used to when we were younger, obviously, because it's kind of like started to die off. But when I was in my 20s, there was a lot of chicks that smoked, and I was dating this girl when I was 24 that was a smoker. Like, I remember I got in her car once, and it's like there's just this fucking film of shit on her windshield, and there's empty cigarette packs in her glove box, and you're just like, are you serious? Like, is this what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life? Like, seriously? And she got pissed off when I laid into her about her smoking habit. But, she reached out to me a couple of years ago. She's married, a couple of kids. She looks like the dog's breakfast now, man. Smoking really, smoking and drinking booze will prematurely age women like no tomorrow.
Yes. And that is a very bad habit. This is fantastic. Thank you, Mustang. Is not being able to show affection to women due to accepting their solipsism an issue I should work through, or is it more advantageous than not?
Why not have them earn it? Don't have the I love all women bullshit. Each individual woman can show you a good reason for it. Like, that's what I hate, where they always ask you, why should I like women? It's like, it's not my job to tell you.
Yeah. Really. I mean, first off, it's like, get over that. I mean, you're not able to show, I can't show affection to women. Well, how many women are you like engaging with that you could be showing affection to, but you're not actually showing affection to? This is just one more way of wording, like, I can't get into it. Okay, well, get into it. Stop being miserable and start being awesome. I know that sounds really stupid, simplistic, but it's really true. Change your mind about yourself, first of all.
Carl had a quote on that.
Actually, that gets me back to one of the things I wanted to say is I think one bad habit, and maybe it's a habit, or maybe it's just the way that they're built. But like, what about women who can't be affectionate or who are very kind of like rereserved with their affection?
They got walls.
Yeah.
Walled women.
Habit. Yeah.
Those chicks are exhausting, man.
Yes,
I'm with Rich.
Yeah,
it's not my problem.
Yeah,
honestly, I think it's it's going to get to one topic that I wanted to talk about, which is damaged women, right? Like women who want to always claim damage, right? It's a bad habit is always victimhood. Women are always going to have that card. They're always going to have the victim card because women are, like, even just evolutionarily speaking, biologically speaking, women are the vulnerable sex. So by default, they are the victim class. They are the victim sex. They are the victim gender, whatever you want to call it, right? Because by virtue of nothing else, then they are more vulnerable than men are. And so what I think happens is women, I think, in their solipsism accept that, but how many women use that, right? They exploit that. They use that to their own advantage. And how does that manifest in behaviors?
Dude, did you see that TikTok I tweeted out? Of the guy who was getting his beard trimmed, and the chick's telling a story about how she didn't like beards and he did, and she's like, I didn't like it because it reminds me of when my stepdad raped me. And the guy's like, what?
Yeah,
like just a simple thing, like, I don't like beards. She had to throw out that victim thing. I think the problem is, like, it works. Again, most guys hear that story and their Captain Save-A-Ho instincts kick in and they want to help her. So it's almost a perverse incentive for a girl to be damaged, because the more damaged she is, the more people give her stuff, sympathy, attention, validation. Because I remember I've had friends who have had like, you know, issues in the past. I won't get into specifics, female friends. I never knew. I would like be friends with them for years until one day drunkenly they bring it up in a random conversation. It's like, I'm like, why didn't you ever say that before? They go, because it's embarrassing. You don't bring shit like that up on a first date. I'm like, fair point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really just a case like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Girls weaponizing their victimhood or guys being sympathetic to it? I'm like, does it really matter? That's why they're doing it now. Just deal with it as it is. And I take it as a red flag. It just says, I think you're stupid enough to try and provide me protection if I give you a sob story, like American Idol. You know that? The American Idol episode where you see a bunch of people goofing around, and then as soon as you see the backstory, you're like, all right, this is the one that has the opera voice. I fucking guarantee it. And they all think they're, I'm like, I'm that, except for I can't sing, but I can sure as hell give you the sob story.
Mm-hmm. Remember we were talking just a little bit earlier about how women kind of can turn on a dime when it comes to sort of like what their belief sets are when it suits them. Like the moral ambiguity that was the first thing we were talking about. But there's also the fact that, and this is the cognitive dissonance thing. I keep telling you, here's another example of this. Now, we've talked about this before on this show, and I've talked about it with other people on other podcasts as well, is that women will change their interests or change their hobbies or change whatever their likes, whatever, to accommodate the guy that they see as high value enough to want to at least attempt to lock down at some point. So like, for instance, if her family are lifelong Patriots fans and suddenly I'm a Raiders fan, then suddenly she wants to become a Raiders fan. She's listened to country music her entire life, but now she's starting to listen to Swedish death metal, right? That's what I'm talking about.
Really believe it.
And they really believe it, right? Yeah. And so there's that sort of ambiguity that, now, is that a bad habit to watch out for?
I'd say no. That's hypergamy.
That's women.
Yeah, that's what you want. That's one of the habits you're actually looking for in a girl.
Yes.
If all of a sudden she starts liking what you like, that's her limbic brain telling her like, this is the one. Start liking the stuff he likes and start building those like little tendrils, pair bonding, I guess you call it.
I'd say that that's her entering your frame because, I mean, I've always raced motorcycles, sport bikes, supercars, and every chick I've ever dated all of a sudden has a big interest in sport bikes and supercars. Right? Like my girlfriend can name everything about supercars now. It's just because she's been around them now. And she's actually got a genuine interest in it because she's entered my frame. Yeah. So it's actually something to look for, though. I mean, I think it's a good thing.
You know, what's funny is like, and guys do this all the time, right? And why this is, I don't know, but guys can quote movie quotes all the time. Like, especially if I'm on Masculine Geek, don't go on Masculine Geek if you don't want me to quote movie quotes too. Guys do this all the time. You know, hey, remember this? You know, I hate it when I throw out a movie quote from like back in the 80s and I put it on Twitter and I expect like this generation to understand what the fuck I'm talking about at all. Right?
Yeah, no.
And they don't. They're like, what's this all about? You know, the old man's at it again. You know, it's from Aliens. You know, it's from what Game Over. Remember? But I was talking to my wife about this, and she's like, you know, so many movie quotes. I go, no, I'm just a guy. That's just what we do, right? She's like, she's like, I can probably remember like 2 movie quotes. And I go, yeah, because you never watch the same movie over again. You know, you move on from one to the next, to the next, to the next. There's not movies that you keep coming back to all the time, except for Zoolander.
I can read the dialogue word for word from Die Hard.
Yes. Yes. And
freaks people out.
I think it's funny because that's like almost like, so like there's habits that guys are going to have just because we're guys, right? Just because it's male nature to women are going to throw rocks at me for saying this, but it's male nature to know where we are in the world, right? Like men are better at geolocation than women are. Simple statement of fact. Okay. Now women will go, well, guys get so upset when they can't, you know, they have to ask for directions. Yes. Because we're so used to being able to position ourselves like, oh, there's the sun, that's the east, this is the west, you know, the mountains are to the north, you know, that kind of stuff. And knowing where we're at, because I've been in situations where it's like places we've gone over and over and over again. Where does this go? Come on, we've been with the dogs here 100 times. We go that way, we go this way. I'm the one that's leading. And I think there's something sort of maybe intrinsic or instinctual where the woman looks to the guy to say, how do we get back home? You know, please take me back home, kind of thing. And maybe it's a habit thing, or maybe it's something. I think there's some instinctive, innate habits that women are going to have that men are not going to have, that maybe seem like they're like, that's a good one, right? Like Rich was just saying a minute ago, maybe instead of like her liking the Raiders instead of the Patriots, that's a good thing. That's a good habit. Like, we also have to talk about good habits here too. Like, what's going to advance you? What's going to be good for you in a future situation, assuming you do get into an LTR with her. So, like, maybe that's a good segue. Like, what are the good habits that that guys should be looking for when it comes to
the biggest one is entering your frame, 100%.
Genuine
The biggest
desire.
one is an addiction to blowjobs.
Yes, also a very good addiction.
Yes, and appreciation for understanding how to give a good blowjob is a good one. Speak Freak here. Thanks for that $50, man. I got to give you. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to give you this one.
Where are the Cheetos?
There, that's what you're getting on my show from now on. If it's a $50, super. Thanks, guys, for all the help you do. Do you have any advice for a guy who is 41, unplugged for 6 months, and doesn't want to revert back to his blue pill ways with women?
That's very vague a question.
Keep going, keep reading, stay on top of your game. Put your mental point of origin, I think, is very important for guys, especially if you're 41 years old and you're just now you're just now becoming red pill aware. The other thing is don't get depressed, because especially at 41, man, you got a lot of life ahead of you, man.
To be honest, I don't have
an advantage.
Like, I don't see problems with the 40-year-old guys in my community. It's the guys that are under 30. Getting them to do things is like pulling teeth. Like, they'll read forever, but they'll never touch anything. A 40-year-old guy gets divorced. I watch him. He comes back. He's like, all right, I took 2 weeks. I read Mystery. I've slept with 3 girls. Now I got a plates retention problem here, guys. Let's sort it out. And I'm like, dude, those are the problems to have. There's 2 clients I've always seen when it comes to like this stuff. There's the over 40s, under 30s. The only issue I've ever seen with the over 40s is they try to get to like quickly go back into their same rut by marrying their first plate they get. But once they're past that, it's like smooth sailing. Absolutely. And the realization that a lot of things are going to change. Like, for example, one of my guys in his 40s, divorced, sleeping around. He thought sleeping around with all these chicks is going to reflect poorly on him at work. His epiphany was finding out that his workplace actually enjoyed him more. He became the Chad at work. He's like, I didn't realize being a male slut was a good thing for my career. I'm like, yeah, well, you know it now.
Yeah, good job.
But yeah, I wouldn't worry about it.
What about all those narratives to have a good, stable wife to accompany you to all the events, blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, you'd think, but he just brings a date and it's the same thing. You'll get some cockeyes from the wives there, but whatever. They're not
That's
fucking
fine.
him.
Yeah, what do you think, Rich? What would you tell this guy?
Well, given that I unplugged around the same age, I was probably about 41, 42 when I
How did that happen? How did that happen, Rich?
Oh, well, you could read my book because it's basically what the entire book's all about.
The introduction.
Yeah. But yeah, I would probably co-sign with you guys have said it, and it's reverting back to your old ways. Because I mean, if you've operated 41 years in a plugged-in mindset, believing society's lies and the blue pill narrative and all that sort of stuff, you're going to be used to that. That's going to be comfortable. That's going to be easy for you. So you might get into an LTR. You might be convinced by family or friends at what you're doing that this new version of you, this new belief that you hold, doesn't align with their worldview anymore, and they might convince you to kind of go back to the old ways, or an LTR might convince you to go back to your old ways, or you may just revert to it, thinking that now that you're an LTR, you can just relax and everything will just be fine. She'll just be with you forever and ever because she touched your pee-pee a few times for a few months. So I think it's the reverting back to the old ways is the biggest thing that you got to watch.
I would also be wary of this, is that just because you get with one chick and you're like, oh man, this is great. This red pill stuff it's genius. I can't believe I didn't know this before. Right. Just because you got with that one chick doesn't mean you're not going to get with a better one later.
Yeah.
So like, don't sell the farm right after you become red pill aware. I mean, maybe you have a great relationship. I wish the best for you. Live a long, good life. But like, remember, you're in a 41. I presume you're on top of your game. You're in a position of sexual selectivity and you're aware of women's nature and your own nature in a way that most of Western society isn't. So that is an advantage. Here's a really bad habit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to squash that if that starts happening.
Yeah. So I think that's a really good one, is when that woman is not dressing up for you, when she is not like making an effort for you. I think that is a habit that needs to be, like, if she's so comfortable with you that this joke is funny. then you have something to watch out for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to say it's such small things too. Like just if you want to wear pajamas around the house, there's nice pajamas, there's sexy pajamas, and then there's like period pajamas.
Yeah.
A lot of the times they don't do it because the guy never says anything either. The girl's just going to do it. If he doesn't say anything, well, then it's not my fault, right?
Ooh.
How about just mention, I'm tired of you looking like a frump. Why don't you dress up, look nice? And she'll get mad at you, but then she'll start to do it, or she won't. But at least then you know where you stand.
We should have started with that. It's like when women like they escalate things a little bit, right? They move up a little bit. Like, okay, he was cool with that. Now I can wear sweat pants. Okay, cool. He's good with that. You don't think it's happening. You think it's just her being casual, because men don't want to be judgmental. They don't want to.
Yeah.
Discerning is one thing. Judgmental is to say, hey, why don't you put on some fucking makeup? Right? Like I'm in the, like, do something, like pretend that you're into me, right? That kind of stuff. That guy, if that's the reaction, then that's a push again. Like a shit test, it doesn't have to even be verbal. It can just
they usually aren't.
Entirely behavioral. And those behaviors are habits. They become habits. Shit testing becomes a habit. And again, it's not just like telling it to you. It could be a behavior. Go ahead, Rich.
I'd also expand that to behaviors that she initiates early on. So if she's doing something like, I don't know, doing your laundry while you're busy doing something, you know, to kind of help out around your place, to, you know, to be useful because she's in your frame, and then she stops doing that, I'd be bringing that shit up. It's, you know, it's not just about dressing nice and looking presentable and looking pretty. It's, you know, are you going to continue to do the things that you did, you know, that got you in the door when you're in the door?
Right.
Dude, that's like the thing guys are asking, like, when should I promote a plate? And I always said, like, the biggest sign for me is, you know, you're always going to have a situation where I have to go to work, just, you know, see yourself out the door when you wake up, sleep in, be nice. The girl cleans your house while you're gone, probably a keeper.
Yeah.
Like, I know she rummaged through your stuff looking for other girlfriend stuff, but she cleaned your house.
Yeah. Your bed's made, you know, your laundry's put away, your dishes aren't in the sink. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I actually last time I was out in Miami, I was just kind of tooling around the Brickell district with Fresh, and we had a camera on us, and it might be on his channel now, but he was asking, we were talking about stuff in the car, and he was saying, like, what do you think about like women being submissive? And I'm like, well, I think submissive is the wrong term. I think what guys are really looking for when we talk about submissiveness, we're thinking of it from like sort of this like biblical sense. Like, well, if she has a habit or she has a way or she wants to sort of default or defer to male authority, then she's being submissive. And no, it's not that. It's being compassionate. It's having an actual care about that guy. And I put it this way. I said, have you ever been in a relationship, whether a long-term relationship or it's just a plate that you're spinning, whatever, and that woman has taken the time, and it's your birthday, right? Has taken the time to give you a birthday present that she knew that you would love, but you didn't know that she knew that you would love it, right? So if you're into like fishing, or she gets you like some really nice flies for fly fishing or something like that, like something that she knows that you would like, but you've never really discussed it, but she's like, oh, okay, I know he likes fishing, I'll go get this, right? Or he likes guitars, I'm going to get him strings for his guitar, whatever it is, right? It's taking the initiative and being compassionate enough and to be into that person enough and be in his frame enough to not have to ask him about what his likes and his dislikes are. It's to know them because you have the interest of knowing that guy. And I said, so many women today have absolutely no interest in the guys that they're with beyond either, does he have a 10-inch dick? Does he have, you know, $100,000 in the bank? Is he 6 feet tall and has six-pack abs and everything else? That's the only criteria. It's not like, what's he into? What's his hobbies? Does he love his mom? Yeah, exactly. It's taking that initiative, I guess maybe is the thing, is to initiative to know the guy well enough to go, I know him so well and I really love this guy, and I'm compassionate enough with this guy to want to get to know that he loves Swedish death metal, that he likes the Raiders, and then start identifying along with that as well. That's not, I mean, you could say that's submissiveness, but that's sort of acquiescing to that guy's frame. And I think that we confuse those two things way too much. Let's see, what else do I got here? I got this is actually a good one here. It says, thank you, Rollo, life changer, lifesaver. Is it ever a wise idea to teach, more like argue, a woman with red pill stuffs?
Fuck
Go watch that podcast that Rollo and I did that we don't really promote.
From you, thank you I think I'm having difficulty applying it. Keep up the good work.
No.
Don't argue with her about red pill stuff.
Not if you want a banger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, Savvy Books writes what? They did a podcast for their 4 hours discussing red pill stuff. It went pleasant. Everybody was nice. And then they called us a cultist. It was a perfect example for you guys as to why it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
And I kind of had high hopes, but I was expecting it too. So I'm not surprised. I'm just disappointed. So go watch that 4 hours so you never do that stupidity in your own life. Okay.
I want those 4 hours back. I fortunately, you spent 4 hours. I only spent like an hour and a half there. I want that hour and a half back.
You were selling your house. And you know, it's fine. It's one of those things like I did it once, so I never have to do it again. I can live with that.
Well, you can say it's been done now.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's no one has ever reasoned a woman into bed.
No.
They've gamed that girl into bed. They have created an emotional investment in that woman and got her into bed. But then no one has ever said, well, here's the Excel spreadsheet, honey. I'll be waiting for you at 6. Well, no one's done that. Lightning round. Let's go. Ryan, is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yes. Don't ask stupid questions.
Yes.
100%.
Don't ask stupid questions. There you go. For $5. Thank you very much. It was worth it.
That was a quick lightning round.
That was a quick lightning round. This is Sir Mr. Jason. Thank you, gentlemen, for everything you've done. 39 years old, trying to get back into the game. Thank you for all your knowledge and appreciate it. You are welcome, Sir Mr. J. He's a regular on here. I think he's a regular on some of you guys' channels too. Here we go. We are the 3 R's of the Manosphere. Yes, you're right. I'm the last surviving one, so I had to bring in 2 more. Rollo, Ritz, and Ryan are now the 3 R's of the Manosphere.
There you go.
What was this one? Rollo says, got me unplugged. Ryan helped me get out of the anger phase and understands things better. Rich taught to do the work. I just want to say thank you. See, we're the trifecta. We are the 3 R's of the Manosphere now.
We are great.
We are so fucking awesome. Yes.
To be fair, I don't like the compliments. We've actually banned guys for that in the old subreddits because he did all the work. We did a little bit of guidance, but I don't think there's a thank you needed. Just start liking, subscribing more. I think it's all the thanks we need and the super chats.
Post the URLs in all of your social media. That helps too.
Yeah.
Actually,
that's
all
you need to do.
A lot. Yeah, and leave positive reviews for my book and Rich's book and Ryan's book. That's
Read
always
the books, buy the books, pass out the books.
Upvote. Go to Amazon and take 10 minutes out of your day and upvote all of the 5-star reviews. we need a spam. We need a counter spam campaign.
Dude, they got a flame war in my book reviews. This one guy called me illiterate, and then there's 5 guys underneath arguing with him. I thought it was the hilarious review ever. I loved it.
Man, I can hardly wait for because I'm just about done with the game book right now, and I'm just kind of deciding how I'm going to sort of promote this and push it out there. And again, this is a really casual, but it was very easy to write. It's very easy to put together. In fact, I'm enjoying doing it much more than I did book 4. Which book 4, not to take anything away from it, I love the book because it represents 3 years of my investing my life in this book. But this book is just meat and potatoes. What do you got here? A woman at work started flirting with me for the first time the moment I said no one likes nice guys. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Dark Triad, man. We need to do a Dark Triad show.
I don't think they'll like it because I think we're going to come in expecting us to be super villains and not realizing we're just going to be very cut and dry about it.
Yeah.
Take all the mystique.
It'd be funny. We need to do this. Maybe we should do this as the next Rule Zero, but we need to do why do I come up with great topics when they're in the middle of the show? Because by Wednesday of every week, I'm like, okay, guys, topics, bring them to me. But we need to do one on intelligence, and I think Cappy would be a really great guest to have him on for that one too, because he's got Curse of the High IQ. But I think we need
IQ on an episode. All the Stefan Molyneux hardcores are going to come out of the woodwork to come in here and give their 2 cents. They'll start tapping into the whole eugenics angle on this one, and certain countries of origin, and you're like, oh fuck.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
It'll be fun, but it'll be a shit show.
I am let me throw this one here real quick. One main piece of advice for a 27-year-old. Yeah, you wish you were told.
Don't squat 3 plates.
Yeah, exactly. When you're doing shrugs, don't turn your head. Stay straight ahead, or you're gonna really fuck yourself up. Ask me how I know. I'm gonna tell you mental point of origin, man. That's the best thing I can. That is the key to everything else. That is the keystone, the capstone. Everything crumbles unless you are the first thing that you think about when it comes to decisions that you have to make for your life. And if it's anyone else or anything else or any other belief besides yourself, and again, I'm not saying be some self-centered dick. I'm just saying, like, you need to understand mental point of origin and enlightened self-interest. And those are if I were to tell my 27-year-old self, that's the first thing I would start with. Yeah, so I mean, as far as the intelligence thing is concerned, I think we need to do that show again, because there's too many people who are asking those questions. And then I think also sort of putting it in a visceral sense right now, because I think guys think that they should be more like the women really want I want an intelligent woman, so why wouldn't a woman want an intelligent guy? Unless you're really super black pill, and black pill that's a whole nother can of worms. What'd you say?
Do you notice too, when they talk about I want an intelligent woman, they talk about her education? Like, I want a girl that I can talk to about Faust and shit like that. It's like, that's not intelligence, that's education. So what you're saying is you want a college grad, which it looks like there's all of them. So why are you having an issue?
Yeah, you should have a pick of the litter. Yeah, but they're all fat. Ryan, how do I get a not fat girl who can talk about Kierkegaard?
I want a girl whose pussy shoots money and talks about Kierkegaard all day and never gains weight and can fly and can do laundry.
That's a meme you need to create now.
Can birth kids in 4 months. Just rapid fire. Yeah, why can't I find a girl like that? Just like they used to make them.
Speaking of trans, do I have to? What are men going to do when post-op becomes more and more indistinguishable from organic women in the future?
Do they really want a medical answer to this?
Because there's some guy out there that grows tomatoes that talks about this skinning or masking or whatever it's called.
No, he talks about putting on actual chick suits.
Oh, okay.
I don't mean clothes. I mean actual rubber chick suits.
Oh, it's like sex dolls. I'm not holding my breath to see some fucking perfect, replica. So it's not an issue that's going to affect you.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Forget about it.
But thank you for putting Rollo's channel at risk. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is true. I'm glad I'm starting to do things now. But this summer has been very, very busy for me. We're at the end. We can just bullshit.
That's funny too. A lot of guys are thinking the rulezero guys are like, oh, you guys are falling off. You can't even boot a 6-panel cast. I'm like, dude, it's the summer. Do you think we have things to do with our day? If we didn't and we're just able to do this, I wouldn't follow this show if everybody was here all the time. Are you crazy?
I'm impressed we got rich, actually. Actually, I don't think I've had us three have not been on a show in a while.
Well, Rich has been in his supercar. I didn't think we'd get him at all until October.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I got a beanie, a McLaren beanie. I should have wore it today. That's all I. Nice. Oh, but I will be. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to Lake Tahoe this week, and I am bringing this nice camera, and I'm bringing a whole video rig with me. I'm going to have to do it all myself, but I am going up to Lake Tahoe. I'll be there for actually 8 days, a little more than a week. I just purchased 2 new wave runners, so I will be using my wave runners. There might be some video of me on a wave runner. If Colty Bra would ever get back with me, as he's too busy living life, I would like to meet him up there and hang out with him, because I know he's in Truckee, so I might want to hit up with him. But man, Tahoe is beautiful this time of year, and it is hot as hell. So up there, it's going to be 10 degrees cooler, but that means it's 90 in Tahoe. So that's going to be a real fun time. We're even bringing the dogs with us.
Ooh, nice.
So yeah, we rented a I don't want to call it. It's not an Airbnb. It's like a vacation rental house that we've got, and a really nice place. Good internet connection, and so I'll be doing some live streaming from there, and just probably half and half to my YouTube, half to my IG. I think will probably be that, but that'll be a lot of fun, and I will be celebrating my 25th wedding anniversary. Yes, I am still, in fact, married. Despite what other people might want to feed you. And so that's going to be me this whole week. I've got my live show tomorrow, which is going to be at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. I was going to have Kevin Savio, but I think he's on set. So I think it's going to be me. I've got a couple of breakdown videos here. Ryan, if you want to join me, it might be fun to.
What day is this one? Sunday?
This is tomorrow. at,
Yeah, it should be.
Fork.
Other than gyms are open now, so I've been like diligent about the schedule. So as long as it doesn't interfere with my gym schedule, I'm all for it. I'll let you know once I get off here and I can check.
Yeah, cool. Just so you guys know, Fourth Book audio is in the works right now. I've got a reader. I had to go through the process of auditioning and everything, as I was saying before. Sam's not going to be doing the read, but I've got a good guy right now who I think is acceptable. I think you guys are going to like this. People keep asking me, so there's your answer. I've got the final part of my 3-part series on my blog. The Rational Mail will be up this week. It's already scheduled to go. That's ready. It's in the can. And if you haven't heard, hey guys, seen any good movies lately? I have a cameo appearance. It's about a 2-minute, maybe 2.5-minute segment in the upcoming episode 2 of Captain. I should just say Save a Ho, because I'm not supposed to say that. Because trade. Did you know that Captain Save a Ho is trademarked?
What?
Yes.
Who trademarked it?
I don't know. I forget the guy. I think it's a rapper, a guy who is he's basically squatting on the trademark for it. So we have to call it just Save a Ho, which is fine. Got that one. That trademark. Yeah, we can't. The other way we can't, but it's okay. So anyways, yes, I am involved with Kevrock Productions. We're going to be shopping this at some point, and it is one of my summer projects, and I love doing this. It's a lot of fun because I'm actually putting my money where my mouth is. You know, I keep saying, hey, we need to go and we need to do red pill fiction. We need red pill bands writing red pill songs. We need guys doing red pill movies. We need to push back against this narrative. I talked to the guys on Masculine Geek about this a million times. I said, we need guys who can write stories that push back against this wokesy bullshit, right? We need characters like Captain Kirk and Han Solo. We need unapologetically alpha male lead roles that like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator. That's what we need, right? I mean, we need that. Maybe not that, but we need guys who are unapologetically alpha males, and those roles, I will guarantee you, will end up being very popular because no one's doing it right now.
Yeah, there's nothing left.
I keep saying this. I keep telling guys, I say, you want to make $1 million? Write those characters, write those stories, write those songs, write that music, do whatever it is, create within that context. And you will see just how thirsty and hungry people are for this kind of content. So I'm like, well, I can't do that. I can't be sitting there going, hey guys, you guys want to make $1 million? Okay, fine. Fuck it. I'll do it myself. So I will go and I'm partnering with Kevin and his crew and everything else. And that's what we're doing right now. It's his baby. It's his IP. It's his thing. I'm happy to be a part of it. So
we just showed like a podcast. A couple of guys that sit here and talk is a fucking popular as shit.
It is.
Is it that hard to explain that like actual old school entertainment will be popular too?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a hard sell.
Well, the guys on Masculine Geek say this all the time. We need to create our own culture because it's been stolen from us. I mean, every classic good intellectual property and every IP, Star Wars. I talked about this with John all the time. Star Wars, Star Trek. Lord of the Rings, by the way, is now going to be
Canada
trans character in Lord of the Rings now. I mean, it's ludicrous, but what they're doing is they're taking classic old Americana and classic, well-loved, well-storied, successful franchises and turning them into vehicles for the woke narrative. Fine, take those. We're going to create our own. We're going to make our own culture, and this is I have. If I'm going to say that, I've got to do that. So that's me doing it. So, anyways, Ryan, what do you got going on?
Well, like I said, the gyms are finally open now. I'm already sore as shit off of this. The final episode of Practical Female Psychology is out on Sunday. I'm taking a much needed break from like 3 or 4 videos a week. I'm just sticking to one. The Mids Watch stuff, go check that stuff out. Honestly, like the stuff we talk about here, we have like a 5-minute speech on like a aspect of hypergamy or an aspect of solipsism and that. Those are literally going into the archives of the stuff we would talk about and the advice we gave and the stuff we tested and showing you guys how people came to these conclusions. So for those of you guys who like to know why these things are the way they are, it's a good use of your time. Again, Mids Watch, it's representative of Midnight Watch, back when I had to work like that in the Navy from midnight till 8. They come out at midnight on Thursdays. Check those out. And then beyond that, I am going to continue to get shit for not having the second book done yet. Like I said, it's a bit of a slog. The second book is always the one that takes the longest to write, I'm finding. So it'll get there when it gets there. And then the second channel, Digital Ryan, I'll put a link in the chat here when I get the thing open. Come on, check it out. It's more casual. It's just like gaming, chit chat, a Discord. It's literally just a space for guys to go and be red pilled without having to worry about any of the nonsense, like getting banned from this platform or that platform because you said a mean gamer word kind of shit. Except for the N bombs. Don't do those.
Cool.
But yeah, check that one out.
Rich, what's going on? How's the Monday show coming? You rebranded.
Yeah, the Unplugged Alpha show. The first episode did quite well. I think it did over 50,000 views in the first week. So it's looking good. Basically retired before the train wreck. Didn't really love it. And I thought it ran its course. I wanted to plug in the Monday night show more into the book and what I'm going to spin off from that in the future. But yeah, just head over to the channel, subscribe. The book's available on Amazon, print, Kindle, and Audible. And that's it for me.
Excellent. Thank you guys for joining me today. Actually, let me put that. There we go. And then last, because I'm looking at the chat here. Last but not least, if you saw the very beginning of this podcast, I put the new promo for the Saviour show that I'm in. So also you can just find that on my channel here as well. It's floating around. I'll put the link in the description of this one so you guys can go directly to that, or you can also go to episode 1 so you can understand what the characters are and everything else. So there you have it. Thanks, guys. I will definitely be back next week. I'll be Rich. You have duties next week, so you are hosting, assuming you can. And I will join you, but I'll be in Lake Tahoe. So I'll join you from sunny Lake Tahoe. Maybe I should go down to the beach. Go down to the beach and participate. That'd be kind of fun.
Nice.
So anyways, all right, guys. Thanks a lot. And we will see you next Saturday. Bye-bye.